but no information was revealed to us until we went public. Private dealings have become the means by which to excuse and do nothing. I believe we have been mistreated as fellow believers in Christ. I believe I have mistreated as a survivor by the leaders at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary. And I believe the testimony of Christ has been damaged. And this entire situation has been mishandled in egregious ways.
In the month of May of 2022, the Bucks met with Danny Aiken, Keith Whitfield, Karen Pryor, and 2 members of the Board of Trustees for Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary to confront the mishandling of Jennifer Buck's rough draft. The draft contained very private information that has been leaked to Baptist News Global, a popular media news outlet, to smear Pastor Tom, his wife, and his ministry on April 11th, 2022. How did this tragedy occur? What series of events led to this moment? Well, to start, we need to start from the beginning, back in 2018. On May 5th, 2018, Tom Buck reached out to Karen Pryor for feedback on an article that Jennifer Buck had written. Karen Pryor is a prolific writer and speaker of many notable institutions, and is a good friend of Tom Buck. Tom texted Karen, "Karen, I hope you are doing well. I want to ask you a favor. You may not be able to, but I wanted to ask. In light of the Me Too movement and recent issues within the SBC regarding abuse of women, my wife has written an article to tell her story. The first 5 years of our marriage, I was verbally and emotionally abusive in our marriage, and this ended up in an instance of physical abuse. In addition, she has been molested as a child that complicated the issue. God restored our marriage, and she wants to tell the story. Would you have the time and willingness to read her story and give her some feedback? If so, I'll put the 2 of you in contact." To which Karen responded, "I would like to, most definitely. I'm out of town now and leaving again in a few days, and it's the end of semester. How quickly does she want feedback?" And throughout the next week or so, a series of friendly exchanges between Tom and Karen. Karen understood she was trying to provide feedback for the essay because she saw the power of the gospel in redeeming a broken marriage. "I don't want to rush my feedback on her essay. Too important." However, the rough draft contains very sensitive information about Tom and Jennifer's past before they were married, and that is something they don't want to publicly proclaim yet. And after some back and forth dialogue between Karen and Jennifer for about a week, eventually Karen decided it would be good to have a professional editor look at Jennifer's article.
As I said, I do agree that the initial request was for feedback. It was never for editing. And that's something that does need to be clarified. There are a couple of statements made that you guys asked me to edit it and I never did. I don't edit. I'm not an editor.
On May 21st, Karen introduced the idea of publishing Jennifer's rough draft, and seeking permission from Jennifer, Karen asked if she would be interested in having my editor at Christianity Today's women's page look at your essay to consider for publication. It was also the same day Karen messaged Tom. "I just emailed Jennifer back. CT is interested in her essay, if she's ready for that, and if you are." But Tom was hesitant to send the article to publication. He wanted more feedback before sending it to some random publisher. It contains details about the abuse that happened to Tom before he ever met Jennifer. Tom, thinking it over, said to Karen, "I have no problem with it at all, other than being careful with my abusive past. But we could carefully word that. We have always been an open book." After Tom discussed with Jennifer that he had shared with Karen the need to remove details about past abuse, Jennifer emails Karen back on May 23rd, 2018. "That will be great. Thank you so much for your help with this. I'd still like to discuss any ideas you have on this." It's clear that both Jennifer and Tom Buck still wanted to have feedback on the essay before the draft reached out to editors to be published, but that never happened, because on May 23rd, the same day Jennifer responded to Karen, tragedy struck.
A year ago, I was in downtown Nashville, Tennessee, and I was walking to a meeting at Lifeway. I stepped into a crosswalk, and I didn't see the bus coming until it hit me. I ended up in Vanderbilt Hospital for 8 days with a fractured shoulder, a fractured spine, a fractured pelvis, a fractured ribs, and 2 collapsed lungs.
With Karen recovering from the terrible accident, it became impossible to further progress with the draft. With the busyness of life and no one to help her edit, the project had been placed on the back burner for Jennifer and Tom. It is confirmed that Andrea Dilley, an editor of Christianity Today, did receive Jennifer's rough draft on May 29, 2018. Andrea, this is the essay I told you about that you were interested in seeing. I think there's a lot of potential here for a powerful and nuanced story about abuse. This is just a draft, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to give much feedback on it. But Jennifer is open to feedback from you if you're interested in her story. But Andrea rejects the article on June 4th. I have to pass on your pitch. In the meantime, I would encourage you to pitch your piece to another outlet if you feel so inclined. It's important to note, at this point, only Andrea Dilley and Karen Pryor are confirmed to have the rough draft. When the draft was leaked to the BNG news outlet in 2022, Andrea Dilley makes it very clear on June 6, 2022, that she did not share the rough draft with anyone, nor did anyone approach her to authenticate the rough draft. So only 2 people were in possession of Jennifer's article in the spring of 2018. But after Karen's accident, circumstances began to change dramatically that will cause both Karen and the Bucks to drift apart. Over the next couple weeks, the Revoice conference that affirmed the gay Christian movement began to rock the SBC. Many notable leaders didn't support it, but some did, including Karen Pryor. However, this didn't stop Pastor Tom from confronting Karen for her support for Revoice and prompted a series of public and private debates on Twitter. I'm not sure any of us understand, however, why a Christian would want to label himself according to godless desires makes no sense biblically. Yes, I thought you opposed the term gay Christian. What do you suggest a person who has the same sex attraction and wants to be obedient to Christ use to describe his condition? Should he use no words? Honestly asking. I do oppose the term. Defining our identity by attractions isn't biblical, especially when that attraction is disordered. Tom was not convinced of Karen's nuanced position in support of Revoice, and despite the disagreement, Karen was still working on getting Jennifer's story to an editor. She managed to get the attention of SBC Voices in publishing the article, but Karen needed the Bucks' permission to send the draft over. And on June 26, 2018, Karen texted Tom, "SBC Voices is interested in Jennifer's essay and yours. They suggested running a 2-part piece if you would be willing." But Tom said, "I'll talk to you later about this. Jennifer is open, as am I. I'm publishing an article tomorrow. I redid it after the ERLC published their Revoice statement. I'm sending you the article. I truly hope it doesn't destroy our friendship, but I will understand if you don't want to move forward with Jennifer's article in light of what I say." On June 27th, Pastor Tom published a strong article for G3 Ministries, which the article calls for the termination of Karen Pryor being a research fellow for the ERLC. I consider Dr. Pryor my friend. I hope to remain her friend, but I believe she should step down from the ERLC or Dr. Moore remove her unless she withdraws her endorsement with a good conscience. This article, of course, did not go over well with Karen. She felt she was being bullied by someone she thought was a good friend.
No, I mean, I do believe that. Tom and I have a friendship, and that's what makes it hard and confusing, because we have what I thought was a friendship. And yet I can't even count the number of times that he has, accused me on Twitter and tried to get me fired. And
well, I haven't tried to get you fired. I have tried not to get you hired. And I think that's ground zero for when you shared it, in my opinion. But I did not try to get you fired. I tried not to get you hired. I did ask for you to be terminated from ERLC.
This sad turn of events is what ended any potential of publishing the article. The next day, June 28, 2018, Karen got Tom and Jennifer Buck in contact with SBC Voices editor Jackie King, washing her hands and saying, "I will let you take it from here." But Jennifer's article was never sent to SBC Voices. Karen Pryor did not attach the document in the email, and this is confirmed by Jackie King in a follow-up email that said, "I know it might take some time to write it out, but once you have it done, you can email it to me and we can work through some edits and condensing if we need to." But the Bucks would never send the article over to SBC Voices, as they became preoccupied with other important matters. Even Josh King, the husband of Jackie King, in 2022, when the draft was leaked, confirmed that it was never sent to Jackie King. A year later, in 2019, Karen Pryor was terminated from the ERLC and was hired by Danny Aiken and Keith Whitfield of Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary, or Southeastern for short, on October 24th, 2019. Danny Aiken is the president of Southeastern, and Keith Whitfield is the provost of Southeastern and Karen Pryor's boss. So at this point, only Karen Pryor and Andrea Dilley have the rough draft. We saw before that Andrea gave a definitive no on ever sharing the rough draft. But did Karen share it with anyone else? When directly asked if she shared it with anyone, at first she claims she doesn't recall.
But Karen, can I add, to your recollection, have you given this article to anybody in the last year?
Not that I recall.
But when asked again, she says, "I don't think so."
But have you sent it to anybody in the last year?
Well, 2 years.
Okay.
Since November 22nd of 2019.
I don't think so.
On April 19th, 2022, Karen claims the Bucks asked her to send the article to prospective publications, and also said, "I do not know what happened to the essay after distributing it at their request." But that's not true. The Bucks never gave Karen permission to shop the draft around. They just wanted some feedback. And if Karen claims she didn't know what happened to the draft, then why in 2022, when the draft was leaked, Southeastern became ground zero for this whole fiasco? How is it that someone knew Karen Pryor was the only person that could verify the rough draft?
Keith said that it was somebody had the draft and they wanted me to verify it, and it was a publication, a news outlet or publication or something, and would I verify it?
How did someone know to contact Keith Whitfield and have him approach Karen Pryor to verify the article?
Let me read you the best of my memory of what I think the text said from the best of my memory. It said, "Would you ask Karen if she would review an article supposedly written by Jennifer Buck about her marriage to confirm the authorship? I think she may know something about it."
And why does Keith Whitfield get personally involved in this whole affair?
They knew his cell phone number. And so I said, well, I want to see the text message and the phone number. He said, I deleted it. And I said, why did you do that?
All that will be explained next episode.